and this guy's obviously a nut.
So are you going to blame them that it led to their death?
I don't blame the victim.
Well, so are you going to blame him? Are you going to hold him legally responsible for their death?
The court's going to need as much background information about how these kids were living, what they were exposed to, who was taking care of them, what kind of lives they led.
If he appears like perhaps he's coming unglued, it may call into question his mental state, and the court may ask for a psychological exam. I think it's very, very, very dangerous to set up this kind of precedent that you can have this kind of slick advertising. I think that's a really rotten intersection between cash and medicine. She said to the judge, he's insane.
Right.
And he threatened me. So in 2 weeks he gets to come back and show the judge that he's not insane and he's not dangerous. Privacy and the internet in the same sentence don't go together. If you want something private, don't put it on Facebook. Don't go online. Don't email it. Don't put it on the net.
Without finding Zara's head, how much more difficult does it make this prosecution? I do believe that through circumstantial evidence you'll be able to do that. And people often have a prejudice against circumstantial evidence. It's every bit as good as direct evidence in a court of law.
I believe the legal term for this is oi. Is this a real big deal?
That's Latin, right, Matt?
That's exactly.
Yeah, this is a real big deal. The legal analyst that commented earlier is correct. If this goes back to the same judge, and she's arrested for this conduct, she's going to prison.
Intent to steal, can you help me with that? I mean, how do they prove intent to steal?
She took it.
Yeah, I mean that's what the non-legalese is.
There's no magic to that. She took it. I mean, you know, it's not rocket science. I mean, basically what she's going to try to say is, oh, they let me take it on approval. But I mean, come on.
We now understand that Children and Family Services wants to take a look at the situation in which the kids are being cared for and where they may ultimately end up.
Michael Jackson, I actually have his will here, actually said what he wanted to have happen to his kids. He said he wanted his mom to look after them, and if she couldn't, Diana Ross. But you can't will your kids the same way you can a car or a stamp collection. So that's not going to necessarily be the determining factor for the court. It's what's in the best interest for these children.
You're a lawyer, but you're also an adoptive mother, and you know personally about international adoptions. That said, what legal issues now does this mother face?
Well, I think she faces potential criminal prosecution for risk of injury to a minor. I think what she did is reckless, irresponsible, dangerous, and again, potentially criminal.
Does he have the right to know where they're at? Because he doesn't at the moment.
Well, he does have the right to know where they are. He's the children's father, but he has no mechanism presently, unless through his attorney, to find out where they are, because that restraining order prohibits him from any contact with his soon-to-be ex-wife.
His lifestyle, which has been well documented, we've been watching that, we saw a video just yesterday. Does that affect the custody decision here, Susan?
Yes, it's certainly going to come into play. What's in the best interest of these children? And the court's going to have to determine that. But the court didn't determine that last night. The court just found that he was a potential danger to his soon-to-be ex-wife. And that's what the basis for this temporary ex-parte restraining order is.
Prosecutors claim James Arthur Ray refused to let his followers leave the sweat lodge despite triple-digit heat.
They're saying that he caused the deaths because of his actions. The defense is saying, no, he didn't cause their deaths. They were free to leave. The prosecution is saying, essentially, they were his prisoners because it was like a cult. They paid money so that they could learn from him how they could become self-empowered, how they could become millionaires, how they could overcome whatever. I mean, this was self-help.
Did he gain himself anything by coming forward and at least admitting to the murder?
No, I don't think he did. I think he's placed himself in jeopardy. I think that there are now corroborating details, for example, the surveillance tape and other forensic evidence.
And once again, he's throwing out that he could point authorities to the body of Natalie Holloway.
You know, he doesn't have the leverage. He's not in the driver's seat. I mean, he's got such delusions of grandiosity. He may still think that he's got some chips here to bargain with, but he doesn't.
And you start wondering about a person like this, if this is a serial killer.
Everybody now is looking back to see where he's been and what kind of devastation he's left in his wake. Celebrity's not a defense. Addiction's not a defense. She's going to have to pay the consequences for this crime. The judge who sentenced her for the DUI said any violation of your probation lands you back in jail. Plus, she faces time on the new arrest, which is up to 3 years. They've got her on surveillance in the store with the necklace. Then they've got her outside the store with the necklace on her neck, and they've got the store saying, we did not loan it to her.
In court today, many of the questions focused on the value of this necklace in question. So it's supposed to be $2,500. That's what the price tag says. However, the store itself, when it purchased it wholesale, I guess, only paid $850. So is this a linchpin to a possible way of getting out of the felony?
I don't think so. To me, it's a complete red herring. Could you imagine going into Tiffany's and saying, yeah, that's your price tag, Tiffany's, but it's really not worth that, and that's not what you paid for it. So it can't be a felony. It's got to be a misdemeanor. I think that's not going to fly in this courtroom.